What's going on, brothers and sisters? Chris here from Namaste Gaming, and today we've got another patch preview to talk about. I apologize, I know I'm a day late on this one, and I probably sound like I gargled with bleach before recording this. Being sick sucks, but I still wanted to get this video out for you guys, so here we are. Anyway, we're going to be taking a look at what's coming in the Nightmares Within, although once again, I must warn you that it's somewhat shrouded in mystery, but we do have some stuff to talk about. Before we get there though, let's talk about the Tower of Nightmares. Let's start with the good. The redesigned area is incredibly well done. It has the same kind of dire, corrupted, hopeless feeling that I got from Straits of Devastation and Malkor's Leap when I first saw them. If you ever played WoW and went through the Burning Crusade zones, it reminds me a lot of Shadowmoon Valley. The biggest similarity that I can think of is just this sense of dread, this looming feeling that this is the first of many places where the tide of the war has turned and humanity is not winning. Pretty heavy stuff, especially considering Kessex had plenty of problems before Scarlet showed up. And that's the best thing about this update, in my opinion. Most of the previous Living Story updates have been tucked somewhere out of the way, South Sun or a dungeon or a cave, that sort of thing. The invasions were pretty, well, invasive, but they didn't come with any changes to the surrounding area. What this update does best is it puts the Living Story content directly in front of our faces. In my opinion, this is the first time since it's been introduced that the Living Story has actually felt like it's having a real impact on the world. And it's the first time that it's actually felt integrated into the core game itself instead of just being a lore delivery system. And that makes me really hopeful for future updates, because it means we may actually get to see them deliver on the promise of a living, breathing MMO world that changes over time. It means we might get to see the Flame Legion siege the Black Citadel, or maybe see what Ore looks like without Zaitan's corruption. I'm not even deep into the lore, and this stuff excites me, so I can't even imagine how you lore junkies are feeling right now. That's my favorite part of it, but I do want to briefly mention a few other things that stood out for me with this release. The jazzed up crate looks straight up sinister. That sickly green glow they've got going on, man, it just works. The Nightmare Court needing to be stomped after being downed, for whatever reason, it doesn't bug me anywhere near as much as it did with the Clockwork mobs. Maybe because I'm so used to stomping humanoid enemies from World v World, or maybe because there aren't nearly as many of them as there were Clockworks that needed to be stomped. Whatever the reason, it's just not that big of a deal to me. Finally, the flirty banter between Marjorie and Casimir was great. I love how matter-of-factly ArenaNet treats sexuality in this game, and I understand if anyone out there has their reservations with it, but as someone who is very much an advocate of letting people have whatever the hell relationships they want as long as they're not hurting anyone, this kind of thing makes me smile. I'm not going to dwell on what I didn't like about it, since I've kind of harped on this issue a fair bit before, but I didn't find the Zerg content particularly compelling. Maybe I'm not the intended audience, or maybe it actually did fall a little bit flat in terms of being engaging, but either way, once I was done appreciating the art and storyline, I was pretty much done with it. In any case, this next patch doesn't sound like Zerg content, so let's talk about that for a bit. The Nightmares Within is going to actually let us into the tower, and ANET's decided to be tricky and not tell us exactly what we're getting into when we step inside. There will be a link to the preview page in the description, as always. Anyway, they have shared a little bit of interesting info on the preview page. They're starting to make a point of communicating that the content from the previous release isn't being taken out, which is great, because I think that uncertainty and a sense of needing to rush to experience the new content before it's gone forever has contributed to many a player burning out on the game and needing to take an extended vacation. At least if what I see on the forums and the Reddits is true. It shows that they're paying attention, and I think that's worth pointing out and acknowledging and giving them some props for. So good on ya. As far as the content itself, let me just go ahead and read this from the page. Face the Nightmares Within. Enter rooms within the Tower of Nightmares to brave special encounters, but beware, things are not all as they seem. You can never know what awaits you within these dark rooms. Will you find yourself face to face with Scarlet's agents? or a much more insidious enemy. It'll take strength, determination, and a cool head to survive the trials that await you. Okay, so notice the emphasis on rooms and the whole you can never know what awaits you bit? Yeah, this is probably the most ambitious guess ever, and a huge leap for sure. Don't get me wrong, I know that this is reaching, guys. But if this is a procedurally generated dungeon, I might squeal a little bit. I'm a big fan of roguelike elements in games. I love games in the vein of Binding of Isaac and FTL, Rogue Legacy, that sort of thing. I know those aren't true roguelikes, so if you're in the midst of angrily typing, WTF, Chris, go play NetHack if you want to say you like roguelikes, you can just stop now. I know, I'm a filthy bourgeois casual with no business discussing true roguelikes. Now, with that out of the way, I think this game could make amazing use of some roguelike elements. A procedurally generated dungeon could scale to group size, which would mean that if you only feel like playing with a couple of guildies, you can still partake. And because the challenge could ramp up with each successive room, there's the potential to create some really engaging and rewarding content without completely removing the lovely RNG aspect that ArenaNet seems to be a bit attached to. If they carried it to the next level and included a sort of light version of permadeath, like, say, ending your run when you die and just porting you out to the entrance, it would be the high-risk, high-reward content that players have been begging for since launch. Now, please don't mistake this for anything other than the tapestry of hope, wishes, and speculation that it is. But with that in mind, wouldn't you guys love to see something along those lines? Regardless of what the new content ends up being, the rewards are pretty cool. There's a gas mask skin that looks absolutely badass and should make some flamethrower engineers pretty happy. The starting aquatic helm is going to be available as a skin as well, so if you were waiting to complete your cyberpunk ninja concept character, you're in luck. And of course we've got the requisite additions to the catalog of minis in the form of 2 toxic crate miniatures. As far as the rest goes, take a look at the preview page, it's up in the air right now. But as always, I'll be back next week with some first impressions to keep you guys up to date. So don't worry, I've got you covered. If you enjoyed the video, please do me a favor and click like, it helps a ton. And if you're new around here, go ahead and click subscribe, there's a lot of great content coming. Much love to each and every one of you. Stay black.